All right, guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay. So one could argue that the Pixel 6 is probably the best phone on the market for Android right now. But like most companies, there's always an out. And that out for Google is going to be their 4A line or their 5A line. So in this situation, the 5A 5G was announced, I think, after the Pixel 6. It was just released while we were waiting on the Pixel 6, if I remember correctly. And I have two videos planned here. At full brightness on both. The 5A 5G is on the top, and obviously the Pixel 6 is on the bottom. Now, this is going to come down to a matter of question whether you think one looks better than the other. Full brightness on these, in person, I can tell you, they look fantastic. There's no getting around it. These are both two beautiful displays. And I'm going to show you the speakers real quick. I'll let you hear the speakers. And I'm starting right here just to get this out of the way, because over video, I'll never be able to really give you how these really look. But I'm going to go ahead and crank the volume up on this one, then I'll turn it up on the other one, and then we'll talk. Add some real soft music and things like that, or put it in some type of format for a movie. But these cameras are good. Apple does have great cameras for video and photo. I took some photos as well. But I just feel like, wow, this was almost that perfect scene to catch some footage with a real camera. But unfortunately, I didn't have either one of my cameras with me, and I just wasn't even thinking about it, because I knew we were going there, but I had never been before, so I didn't know what to expect. And then I just walked out the house completely. It was a long drive. I totally forgot. And when I got out of town, I was like, well, my iPhone. Well, when I listen to these, I think the 5A actually sounds just a hair better, but that could be anything. So I truly believe that either way, you're going to get a great, I'm clearing the things out here. You're going to get a great set of speakers on either one of these. Now, let me turn the brightness back down here. So the reason I'm making this video, obviously, is because the 5A 5G, well, you see it down there on the bottom. The 5A 5G is on sale starting on the 18th for Black Friday for $399. Now, folks, don't shake a leg at this just because the Pixel 6 is out. Yes, we like the Pixel 6, but this is a good deal. It's a good deal at $449, the regular price. They're basically dropping at $50. So don't be too shaken by the Pixel 6 thinking that you're going to get a whole bunch more. So things like battery and performance with a Pixel device, it's stock Android, so I could just open apps and things like that for like daily tasks. All right, got to sign in. For some reason, my Instagram signed out. I changed my password on my Instagram, and then I forgot to sign in. But anyway, here we go. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Everything's closed out on here. And when I talk about daily tasks, this is how people are probably using their devices. We'll get into hardware and everything else like this. Performance, I want to just give you some kind of, this could be what it's like. Because when you look at the specs on here for RAM, I think we're looking at 6 gigs over here on the 5A. And you're looking at 8 gigs on the, let me confirm that because I don't even make an effort to try to remember any of these things. Yeah, 6 gigs and 8 gigs. So these are both 128 gig models, and this has 5A has 6 gigs, and this has 8 gigs on the 6. So, you really, I think after you get to a certain point, now remember, this is a 7nm chip in here, and this is a 5nm chip, according to Google, their Tensor chip. They're both running the same operating system, Android 12. They're both flowing right along. So, this doesn't prove anything, I got to tell you. It's just to show you in your daily tasks, this is what you could possibly see. It's like, what was the difference there? Like less than a second or just under a second. And maybe, I hope I'm signed into my Twitter. I don't know why. There you go. So it's like less than a second. That was about a couple of seconds right there, because you can see it loaded at the top. But, nonetheless, do you really see the difference in the performance from day-to-day tasks? Probably not. These are two speedy devices, and they're going to both run really fast and circles around other phones that are stock Android at some point. or depending on, the level of that way that software is baked against the hardware. But this has the Snapdragon 765G, which again is a 7nm chip, and this has the Tensor chip, which Google says is a 5nm chip. So all that techie stuff aside, you're getting 128 gigs of storage, and on the Pixel 6, you get a option of 256 for $699, and that's a $300 difference. And right now, there's a $200 difference in these prices coming up on November 18th. This is being recorded on the 11th, as you can see, so take note of that. But $399 or $449, folks, this is still a wonderful. This is a just crazy experience here. So you have a 6.34-inch display opposed to the 4-inch display, or 6.4-inch display on the Pixel 6. So you're in one thing I want to note about this is the Pixel 6 is boxy, and the 5A 5G is round, and it feels better in the hand on the 5A 5G. It feels great because it rests better in your hand, like when you're holding a device right here. It feels much better. That is just the truth. And that's personal preference, but the screen looks bigger on here because it's boxy. But that 6.34 versus the 6.4, folks, is really not a huge difference. Now, when it comes to the displays themselves, you just looked at an OLED HDR versus an AMOLED 90Hz HDR10. Can you really tell the difference in person? A little bit. Just a hair, difference in quality when watching content and things like that. But you really can't tell too much difference, folks. Now, where these phones differ is on the back. Now, I'm not talking about the hardware at this point yet. I'm talking about the cameras. This is where you're going to see just a completely different setup. Cameras are still subjective. But if you're a videographer, or not, no, I shouldn't say videographer. If you're a regular person who does more video than photos, then right away the Pixel 6 is going to be the one for you. Instantly, the Pixel 6 video is just better than the Pixel 5a in a few ways, especially because of the 4K 60. I know consumers don't use 4K 60, but in the tech world, it seems to be just so important all of a sudden that 4K 60 is a thing. But just regular old 1080p 60 or 1080p 30, you can still tell the difference, in my opinion. They both look great, but I can still see that the video footage is stable on both. The video footage is great on both, but I shot 4K 60 and just for stabilization purposes, and it came out fantastic on the Pixel 6 and the Pixel 6 Pro. The stabilization on here is just crazy. It's turned on by default, so you really can't get a bad video with either one of these. You just can't. So, but again, the quality of something and the way you like it, the tones of it, it's always going to be up to the user. But Google has obviously done the upgraded tones for, they call it people of color. And so you're supposed to get more real life, true tones on the Pixel 6. So I just say that both of these take good video and good photos. Now, when it comes to photos, both of these are great to me. I don't see a difference I don't see much difference, I'll say. I like taking photos on both of these. Most thumbnails, if I need to take something that's going to be something just a thumbnail, most of the time it's a Pixel device. In either one of them. I have several, so I'll just grab a Pixel because I think the Pixels will give the best portrait style photo of any device that I've used. So that still comes down to personal preference. Now let's actually talk about hardware. Hardware on here, this is Google's, now this is the sorta sage color, but kind of been promoting the Sophigar skins. You can get, this is what Sophigar sent over. Obviously, I wouldn't have chose these particular colors here to change the complete color. I would have gone with just like a matte clear to, still show the sorta sage, but this comes down to grip on here as well. And so this is definitely giving it some grip, but hardware-wise, this is where the Pixel 6 it just dominates because this is their new take. This is their fresh new take on what we're going to give you now. These are our premium devices, and this is what you get, and it's absolutely great. I'm already used to the big bar on the top, like I was on the Pixel 6, or the Nexus 6. Now with this device right here, this is Google's. I shouldn't do this. Let me clean this up because this is actually a beautiful looking device here. It's got like this green hint to it. And some people said that, I wish I still had the power buttons like that. That was a signature Google thing. It's cool. It doesn't have it, so what is a power button? I think this phone, I still think this design is not ugly. Some people hate this design, and some people love it, and some people don't feel any kind of way about it. But I love this color of this green here. This is beautiful right here. And an advantage to this hardware is you get a headphone jack. So you get pretty much the Google style that they've been giving you for a little while lately, and you get that headphone jack. And that's important to some people, and to some people it's not. That's just the thing. Also with this one, you get a rear-mounted fingerprint reader, which works every time. Let's test the fingerprint readers on here. And that's just how it goes. In-screen fingerprint readers are always going to be not the choice for a lot of people. But, I can tell you that, having a rear-mounted fingerprint reader, it's just there. Whether it's fast or not, that's not really the issue. It's about having that in-screen fingerprint reader, and then knowing that it could work and it could not work. Some people are comparing the Pixel 6's fingerprint reader to all these other phones, when I feel like this is just beautiful to have a rear-mounted fingerprint reader. Now, I understand why Google didn't do a rear-mounted fingerprint reader on here. It just wouldn't have been right. It just would have destroyed the look of the device on the back, and it's got the glass back on there. It just wouldn't have been right. So, but the Pixel 5a 5G has that advantage with a rear-mounted fingerprint reader, and it has the advantage, with that headphone jack. And again, performance, I don't think I'll see much difference, and I don't think I'll see much difference when taking photos. Now, one thing that is here on both is Type-C 3.1. It's on both. Now, whether it's Bluetooth 5.0 on here, I'm digging really deep here, folks, but just hear me out. This Pixel 6 has the newer Wi-Fi. It has the 6E, so you can have Wi-Fi 6. And, obviously you're limited on here. You have dual band Wi-Fi and everything on here, but, not that makes a difference, but for a lot of people, most people just have a regular Wi-Fi setup. They don't have anything real fancy. But 3.1 Type-C is on both of these. So, you should get some really good transfer speeds depending on what you're doing. But the Pixel 6 does have 5.2 Bluetooth, but this has 5.0. So they both have fast charging. But, the Pixel 6 is going to come with 30-watt fast charging, which is 50% in 30 minutes. And this has 18-watt fast charging. But I don't use, I use and also wireless charging on here as well. This has wireless charging at 21 watts. So that's another thing. And then you have reverse charging. Some of these things people just don't use. Some people use wireless charging. I'll give it to you. But I don't use reverse charging at all. I just don't do it. And then the power delivery is 3.0 on here, while the power delivery is 2.0 on here, but on the 5A. But you got to understand that we're talking about a huge price difference here with this being on sale and with it not being on sale. So the sale is going to go away. And this is going to be $150 difference at that point. So is it still worth buying at $150 difference? Well, obviously it's going to depend on your needs. And to me, it just comes down to cameras and hardware. That's it. If you're a person who's big on video, and you're going to want to take a lot of video, then and you want to shoot in the higher frame rates, then you might want to lean more towards the Pixel 6. But then, and this is the truth, like, are you honestly willing to spend $150 more just because of the video? Well, you will if video is your thing. That's just what it is. You will be willing to spend more for that design, the cameras. This is just a great this is a great phone. But if I'm being honest, I'm getting the same software experience all around. Now, the Pixel 5a launched with some thermal issues, and when you would go into the camera and try to shoot video, it would, if you're in 4K 60, which, as you can see, I stay in 4K 60, because I do a lot of camera footage, but when you would do that, it would shut off after about, for me, 9 minutes is the most I can get at 4K 60. So eventually, if I'm actually going to do a video with this, I would just go ahead and put it into 1080p 30 or 1080p 60, and I had no problem. Shoot like 20, 30 minutes, no issues, and I got all my footage. So the wide-angle cameras on here are actually the same on the back here. You have that the selfie camera, I'm sorry. The selfie camera on here, these are the same cameras on here. So if you wanted to shoot the same footage on the front, if you're a vlogger, yeah, you're kind of getting the same thing here. So that's another thing to determine whether you think it's going to be worth that switch, or, skipping this device and going to this device if you like having that front viewfinder. Now, whether quality is going to be the same or not, it should, but, you'd have to test them out for yourself to determine what you think is good quality or the best quality. So I'm just referencing the Pixel 6 because this video is really about the Pixel 5a, and to get you some kind of understanding on what I think you would, if you were to ask me, what should I do? I'm going to tell you to buy the Pixel 5a 5G to save the money, especially if you're just a regular person looking for a phone for a family member or yourself, or you're just not into having what some would consider the latest and greatest and all this other things. You don't have to buy the Pixel 6, man. You could buy the Pixel 5a 5G and come out on top. You save hundreds of dollars, at least $150. At regular price, you save at least $150. You're still getting 128 gigs of storage, 6 gigs of RAM. It's still the same. And in reality, this has the bigger battery. This has a 4680 milliamp hour battery versus a 4614. Now, you might say, Jay, that's a small difference, and you're absolutely right. I am getting better battery life on the 5A because it's not power hungry and you're just using a 7nm chip. And when I say better, I don't mean much better. They both can go all day with no problems. That's not an issue. They both can flow along all day, no problems, and it's just what it is. But that little bit better, I think, comes from the processor inside. This is a power-hungry device on the Pixel 6. And so this 7nm chip is going to be, it's already tried and true also. And it's the Qualcomm Snapdragon 765G. And it's a chip that's on tons of devices. The Tensor chip is new. And so the Tensor chip is just now able to see certain games. Like I remember I couldn't find Asphalt 9. Well, I already put out the video, but Asphalt 9, certain games the developers have to get them compatible with Google's Tensor chip. And so as a consumer, if you didn't know about that and you bought the Pixel 6 and was like, my son's favorite game or my daughter's game isn't in here, but it's on my old Android phone. Well, that's what it is. It's about compatibility. So they both have, as far as software goes, they both have always on display. I just think this is still a very good phone for software, man. It's going to fly along like any other Android device that's running stock Android. But in the end, it's up to you. I say if a person asks me, what should I do? Should I get the Pixel 6? I know it's their latest one and I want to future-proof myself. Keep telling people there's no future-proofing yourself. Things are going to change. Just look at this right here. Google announced the 6 and then brought out the 5A into the 6 release. I believe that's how it went, if I'm not mistaken. The 6 was announced and we were thinking, where's the 5A 5G? And then they actually just physically brought it out. They didn't do this big, huge announcement. They posted it online and, they showed you that it was available. And that's what it was. So I still say that the Pixel 5A, and folks, this just came out in August. We're only in November at this recording. And the Pixel was released. It was announced in August. And, it was announced like 2 months prior than that, if I'm not mistaken. 2 to 3 months or so that event was. I'm not really sure. I don't remember. I just know that it was officially released in October. And this came out in August and they just dropped it right on us, which was good. So I think that the Pixel 5A, you'll have some people that say the 5A is just, you shouldn't even give it a look because the 6 is here and it's a $150 difference and you might think that you're getting a whole bunch more. Well, to me, the screens are still very close. The cameras take photos pretty much really good. If you're depending on what you're doing, the cameras are going to take really good photos, about the same. Video, I'm honest, I'm telling you that I think the video is much better on the Pixel 6 and Pixel 6 Pro. These new camera setups that they have are just really good because they improved on video. And, after that, you still get a huge battery. Now, you don't get IP68 on here, but you get IP67 versus the IP68. So you're missing some key things here. You're missing some wireless charging. You're missing an IP rating difference. The screen is just a 0.606 smaller, but it's just a matter of what you're going to do with these devices, really. That's the only I can tell you because, again, you're getting a whole bunch of phone for $399. And there are other phones out there. Some people would argue, you can skip Google altogether, go to Motorola, get an iPhone SE, get all these other phones. But there are people who are genuinely interested just in Google phones or just in Android phones, and they don't want to use iOS. And to those people who don't care about operating system, this is definitely a good solid buy for you. You're going to get some software updates to keep your phone up to date for a few years. The phone should technically run really smooth, and baseline storage, there's only one version of this, is a 128 gig device. So hopefully you guys enjoyed a quick look at what I think is still a very capable device, because remember, it just came out. It's a new device. So, you know, hey, it's still one that you should be taking a look at. I genuinely like it, man. So it's your man Jay. Hope you guys enjoyed. Brief discussion, overview of the Pixel 5a 5G coming up for $399 soon. As we're recording this video, it is November 11th, and the device is going to go on sale on Google's website on November 18th, along with a whole bunch of other sales. So be sure to check those out. Team Pixel, where you at? Stand up in the comments. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.